Hi, it's Jen. Today's Building Your Stash Sunday, so I'm going to share with you how I built my stash this week. So the things that I didn't do any making of building your stash. I've just been busy, but I have bought a few things. So the first thing I bought was this book. It's from 1956, and I just really like the pages. I just thought with the numbers on it, I just like the coloration of the book. So I got that for my stash so I can have different paper than my dictionary paper and, you know, whatnot. And then I bought some lace. I found this spool of lace. I got it for $1, and it's eyelet lace, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I got that one. I got an eyelet lace that's peach. It's a little bit different than the first one, but just as beautiful. And then I got a white one. And all of these were $1, which I was so excited. And then I found another one, and it's absolute, like, I just love it. It is this one. And it's nice and flat, and I just really love that one too. So I got all of these for $1. So I spent $5. So those were my thrift store finds. And then one more thing that I have bought is another glue stick. As you're going to see from me, I use a lot of glue stick. And I have been researching different glue sticks, but I'm just not willing to pay the price of other ones because I do go through it quickly. So I did buy myself another one of these so I won't run out. So that's how I built my stash in my craft room this week. The thing that I cleaned was my desk. I have been crafting up a storm for the past few weeks, just doing this and that, and my desk got quite messy again, and so I had to take some time and tidy it up today. So that is the thing that I tidied up in my craft room. Well, I am going to share with you one of the makes that I have done over the past few weeks. This is to go into a journal that I'm making, and I wanted to make a tag that is a little bit different than the normal tags. And so I thought, why don't I do one that looks like a banner? So that is what I created, and I'll share with you what it looks like on a page in my journal. I haven't decorated my pages yet, but this is what it would look like in a journal. And I just thought it was super cute. So I thought I would come on here and share with you how I created it. Now I have another one that I created that I don't think I'll have time to share with you today, but I'm going to come back one day this week and share with you the second one that I created. But we're going to be doing this today. And then, so on the back, you get a nice, quite a bit of room to journal on. And then in the front, what I did is I just collaged some papers. And then very simply, I just sewed in 3 different spaces. And then I did add a doily. And then some ribbon on the top to make it look like, you know, bunting would look like, right? So one thing, the reasons why I want to share with you how I did this, and I'm going to share with you how I did my collage, is because before I started collaging, it was very intimidating. And so I thought I would share the pieces that I used in my collage, just so those that are beginning can just see the things that I've used. Now, when I did this, I thought about what base I wanted to use. And I know I wanted to have my tea-dyed cardstock on the back. But what I used was just a scrap piece of scrapbook paper. Now, when I was doing some scrapbooking and card making and all that kind of thing, I had gone to classes, and the lady that taught, she sold scrapbook paper in, I believe, 4x6s. Yeah, and 4x6 pieces. And so I did collect quite a bit, and I have been using it, but over the past few weeks, I've been taking note of things in my scrap bins, and I really want to make things with my scrap pieces. And so this is one of the pieces that I came up with to use my scraps. So I thought I would use a piece of scrapbook paper that I wouldn't use otherwise, and it's perfectly fine. I did start gluing down, and then I stopped because I thought I would just share with you again, step by step, how I collaged on the paper. So that's the base that I used. So I just went into my scrap bin and I decided what kind of a collage I wanted to create. Now, if you look at this, like for me, I just wanted to do a monochromatic look with the paper, like whites and tans, and then accents in black. And then I put that doily on it. So the first page that I and I used my trusty glue stick. So I have this old book, and I use pages on it. Let me see, I think I have a page from it here. And it's a different language, but the edges are so beautiful that I always keep them, and they worked great for the edging here. Now, if you look here, some of it's kind of fallen off and they kind of move, but I love that. Even like, it's just so beautiful to me. So one thing that I gotta do, I didn't do this as soon as I glued it on. I'm like, oh, I gotta stop. I'm just gonna make sure it's all glued down. I still want movement, but I'm still don't want that much movement. So there we go. I just glue it to one side. And I'm showing you exactly, I use the exact, well, kind of the exact same pieces of papers. The only thing I had to change is I had a scrap piece of music paper right here, and this is totally different type of music paper, but to me it doesn't bother me. So we got it. I just want to use my scraps, and I didn't want to create new scraps, so we use what we have, right? So next piece I'm gonna do is my music paper, and I'm gonna glue it down to this side. And I have things hanging off as I'm collaging, because you can always fix that when you go back and you can trim all around your tag when you need to. Alright, and so I'm just gonna stick this down here. Hope everybody had a really good Easter last week. It was beautiful today, but it was deceiving because the sun was out, but it was very cold. Alright, so that is my music paper. And then the next paper that I did is, this is just a scrap piece of lined paper that I put down here. And collaging, you can do, because I know I want to try some of these tags, doing scraps from my bird book, and then the wording from the bird book as well. And then you can also do that with flowers. The possibilities are endless. And of course, you don't have to have it in this shape. This is just something that I wanted, just for it to be different, and I thought it would be kind of cute. And I really like this. It's really cute, and this would be so cute in a birthday journal as well. Or I know people make birthday what's that called? Birthday books, where when people come in to the birthday party, they sign it and write a message. These would be cute in that. All right, so we have our music paper down, and then I have our lined school book pages here, and then the edge of a book. Then the next thing I'm going to put on there is, this is from a pattern. The instructions to patterns. So I am going to put this on right here. And of course it's different because, you know, you're not going to have the same scraps. And then I thought that you don't have to do this type of a flag or a banner. You can do the one that's more like a triangle. I thought that one would be cute as well. But I like this one because I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, so that's why I chose this shape for here, because I wanted a lot of journaling space. Okay, ooh, I don't think this is straight. Not that it really matters, but I do want to do my best. There we go. And I like these pieces that I'm using too, is because they're printed on the back sides as well. And so that helps cover up the paper underneath. And because I was doing a monochromatic look using the whites and the tan papers, that's why I chose this paper that I did. So that way I didn't have to keep on layering to cover up any bright paper. So that's something to think about as well. If you're wanting to do more of a lighter, like a monochromatic browns and tans and whites, you might want to try to find some scrap paper that is more muted. And then if you're doing a collage with a lot of color, I would use your most vibrant papers just to use them up, you know. All right, use that one as a guide. Do this. And this page actually comes from a flower book right here, which is fitting because this is going in a botanical, more of a botanical book. So there's that one. Then here's the this one that is from the book that is a different language. I don't know what it is, but it looks really interesting. And the book is really old as well. And the paper takes the ink really nice as well too. And so when you collage, if you're new to collage, for me, it was very intimidating. See, even that if I kept that flower there, that would be neat. But I'm not. It was very intimidating at first, but I just want to encourage you just to give it a go. You know, sometimes I don't do something because it's just like, oh, I'm not going to be mine's not going to look as good. And even this doesn't look that great compared to other people. But you know what? I tried it and I love it. But I would just say give it a go, and I would just keep on layering until you do like it, and you'll be surprised how well it and how fast it comes together. And you'll be like, for me, when I started collaging, I was just like, I don't know if I want to continue. And the best thing, and you know, I used to hear people say this, and I don't know, people are just like, don't think about it. And I think that's, for me, my biggest hindrance is because I think too much about things. I think, oh, does it match? Does it do this? Remember, this is going in junk journals, guys. And it doesn't have to match, number one. And number two, it will look great. So I want to encourage you, if you're, I just laid down a piece of, I had little pieces of dictionary papers, so I just laid down a piece of dictionary page right here. And then this came from vintage computer paper that had, you know how you had to rip the edge off of it? And I put some of that right here just to break some stuff up. I'm actually going to wait to put that on there just so that way I can just see what it will look like once I get everything trimmed. And I'm missing a piece of paper here. Oh, here it is. Okay, for the last 3 pieces, I'm not going to put them on until after I make my flag shape. But before I do any cutting or anything, I am going to put on my piece of cardstock on the back. That way we're cutting once and we don't have to try to match something up. So that's one thing I'm going to do. And using up your paper to make something beautiful, I think is great. I know, because I have a scrapbook paper bin, and I'm just like, what am I going to do with that stuff? So I've been including it in to a lot of my projects that I've been making, just so that way I can use stuff up, right? Alright, I like this edge, so I'm really wanting this one to come here. Just want to make sure this is lined up really well. Okay, I am going to just use my bone folder, and I am just going to make sure that my cardstock is stuck on to the paper. And I've really noticed when I've done this with my projects that it does really help. Let's see if alright, that is good. I am going to get my paper cutter out. I'm just going to trim some stuff. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is just trim the excess paper that I have all around. So I'm just going to do that all the way around. It doesn't take long. And another thing, in my paper cutter that I have, my blade is getting dull, and I absolutely love that when I cut things out, because it kind of frays my edges, and I absolutely love it. Ooh. I just noticed something. I got this edge to cut too. It kind of blends right in there, eh? And it's supposed to be 4 inches? No. Okay. There we go. And that is all of the paper cut now. And then you'll notice on the bottom here that I didn't bother gluing anything. It's because when we make our banner shape, I don't need to stick things down to it because it'll just get cut off anyway. And so how I find my banner shape, so like I said at the beginning, this paper is 4 by 6, so 4 inches by 6 inches. Then, so what I do is I go up 2 inches from the bottom. I go up 2 inches. And then I make sure I'm over 2 inches as well. Where did that mark go? let me see. So I am just trying to find my 2-inch mark here. So 2 inches by, 2 inches right there. And then once I find my line, then what I do is I start from my line, I find the corner of my paper on the bottom, and then all I do, I lost it again, right here. And then I draw myself a line. And there you go. And then this way you'll have a nice banner shape. Now I know they have, We Are Memory Keepers has a banner cutting board. I don't have that. And so if you have that, you'll be able to easily make a banner really, really quick. But for those of us that don't have that banner, this is how I found my lines. So I am just going to take my scissors. I'm not going to bother using my cutting board just because, my paper cutter, just because it's just as easy just to use my scissors here. I have lines that I can follow. And I'll start on this side. And there we go. And I'll make sure that and then I look over it just to make sure that it's looking good. And I do have to come back with an eraser to erase any lines that don't get cut off. And that way everything is as clean as possible. Okay, and there we go. So there is our banner. Now, the end pieces have some blank ones, which is fine, and we can just totally leave that. But I am going to, and you know what, next time if you're going to make these, I would just keep this as your stencil. Just put this on the bottom of your paper and just trace it. That way there's no measuring next time. So I'm going to keep that. All right. So I am going to glue the rest of my paper on that I'm wanting. So for right here, I'm going to put, it's another book page of my plant book. So I'm going to figure out where I want it, because there's different words in there, and I want to just kind of pick my wording. Okay, so it's going to go right there. So I'm going to just glue down on the banner and then stick this paper down. And then I should make sure there's a word well drained, and I really want that on there. Okay, there we go. Then we'll just cut it off. So I am doing, it's a, like I said before, a botanical journal. Ooh, oh no, that's sad. Okay, that one's done. This book I found, the plant book, it's shiny on both sides, and I find that it is hard to stick down, but once you get it stuck down, it's fine. It's just, you know, the initial okay, I'm just going to use my foam folder just to make sure that that is going to stay down for me. Alright, and then I'm going to put this I think that looks good. When I do collages, I usually use a glue stick. I use a glue stick for a lot of stuff, but especially collages, I find that the liquid glue just buckles all my papers. I'm going to put this right here. We'll put that there. Now, if you can see on this page here, I made a mistake somewhere. I didn't put my piano paper over. I put the school paper over my piano paper, which I think is fine, but I think I want to try to find some bits of the piano paper. You know what? It's fine. Let's just leave it. I'm getting too picky now. Okay, and so that is our collage. And there you go. And I absolutely love it. And so that's what that's how I did that. I am just going to put a little bit, I like it, my edges frayed, but I don't want it too much. Okay. I'm going to make sure nothing is hanging off the back side. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to ink. I didn't ink until after I was all done because I wanted to be able, I didn't want to have to stop and do every single piece because that, you know, that is just too tedious for me. Okay, and then I just inked all around. The ink that I'm using is Potting Soil by Ranger. Okay, so I go all around the outside. I'm going to do the back as well at the same time because and I like going all around the edges because when I cut and trim things, the paper underneath is white, and I want to make sure that, and I don't mind the contrast of white at all because that's what, you know, what I'm going for, but I just like it to be finished, completed, you know. Alright, and then after I do all around the edges, and I start coming inside now. Because what's going to happen is the ink is going to pick up, if I get my other one, you're going to see how the ink picks up all around the edges of your paper. And it will go on your paper as well, but it just makes this it just looks so good, I think. Because at first I was thinking, oh, maybe I should ink as I go, and I did one piece. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this all the way through. Nope, not happening. So I just wait till the end, and I think it looks just as good. There. I think it looks amazing. All right, so the next thing that I do is, we'll bring my other one out. So the next thing that I do is I do sew on it. I only sew on 3 spaces, and you're going to see me do this a lot with my tags and whatnot. Is because if I have a tag that's a little bit trickier, I don't want to have to sew all around it, because I'm noticing that I'm not sewing as well as I thought I would, and so I try to make it easy for myself and just do sew a couple spots, and I still think it looks amazing. And so that is a tip as well if you're just starting out and maybe you haven't sewn before, and if you have, you don't think you're, you know, and honestly it doesn't matter the way it looks, because the messier sewing is, the better it looks, right? But for me, I didn't want to follow all these like all around this, and so I just chose 3 spots and zigzagged. So I would do that. Another thing is I did put holes up here. Now you can totally forgo that. You don't need to do that. You can just maybe even put one in the center and do a big bow, or you know, however you want to design it. For me, I kind of wanted it to go on the sides like that, so it did have the look of a banner. So I am going to do that again for this one, because I just really like that look. And I believe I went, so I measured 1/4 of an inch down and 1/2 inch over. So 1/4 of an inch down, a 1/2 inch over. I did that just because I was okay with it. Now you can either, when you punch your holes, you can either do 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16. I did 1/8 of an inch hole punch here, and I'm thinking I could have got away with a 1/16. So I'm going to try 1/16 on this one just to see how it will look. And you know what? No, I want the bigger one, because I like the, for me, I like the look of the bigger hole at the top. It just, I don't know. I just like it. Okay. I know that's deep, just because. But, and then I just try to find, nope, wrong one. And then what ooh. Sorry, I can't see, so I have to. Alright, and there we go. So that is our banner tag. And then what I have some inking to do. I get my eyeshadow makeup brush. I got these at the dollar store. If you live in Canada, they have these at the Dollarama now, which is lovely. That was a reason why I didn't use them. And I don't try to go really neat all around it. I just go around it, and I think, well, that was a little messy, but sometimes I can get it really nice, and other times it's like, okay. And there we go. So I do that, And then I do sew, and then all I do is I tie. This is just wrinkled seam binding. I had showed you a video or two ago that I took time one Sunday and I did a whole bunch of crinkled some seam binding, just so that way whenever I need it, I don't have to stop doing what I'm doing, right? And so I am going to just put some out here, and I don't measure it, but I do measure. To begin with, I don't measure it, but then I measure to make sure each side has the same. So I am going to cut this much. Let's do this much. I always cut off, but I can't add more, right? All right, there we go. I'll measure this now that so it is probably 15 inches. If this is crinkled, so if you spread it out, it would be probably around 15 inches. And then what I do is I just feed it through. Oops. Not like that. And I just tied a knot. I didn't bother tying a bow because I'm going to have a lot of other things in my journal that are going to have a bow, and so I didn't bother. I wanted just to make things a little bit different. And you will notice as well, oh, just a second. There we go. And then some of my, if you look, some of my ribbon isn't crinkled. So what I do is I just wet it and just let it crinkle up, so that way it doesn't look bad. And that way I don't have to cut it. Because once it gets wet and crinkles back up, it'll be great. Alright, here we go. And no, I wanted my ribbon to be on the side. I don't want it to be up here. I'm just fighting with my ribbon right now. Sorry, guys. There we go. And there we go. And to me, that's a little long, but I need my spray, and I'm just going to spray this right here. So what I do is I just do that, and I do have a clip around here that I just scrunch it up and let it sit like that for a bit. And it worked. That's what happened with this one. There was one that had hardly any crinkles, and now they both look pretty good. Alright, and so there is our banner that we made. So other than this is quite long, I'm going to cut that. Alright, and so that is the gist of our collage banner tag. Now, another thing that I did that I wanted to let you know is this doily that I have right here, like this crocheted piece. I didn't sew it on to my tag, and I put it on at the very end. What I did is I cut out a circle that's 1.5 inches. And then what I did is I sewed the piece onto here with a zigzag stitch. I like using a zigzag stitch when I do any doilies onto paper, so that way it holds it really firmly. And so that's what I did here. I did a zigzag stitch all over, across that circle, and then I just glued the circle onto my banner. And so that's how you can't see the sewing. And because I didn't want to sew the doily on even before I put the backing on, because I didn't want there to be a bump. I wanted it to be as smooth as it could be. I'm just going to do this with that side. Okay, I guess it really doesn't matter right now. Sorry guys. And then the decorating is whatever you like to see, whatever you enjoy. Now, if this is too plain and boring for you, you could do, maybe it's because mine's a flower journal. Obviously this one's a little too big. It could get cut down a bit. But I'm going to use this in my book for something else, so I'll just leave it as is. And you can even decorate it this way for the front. It doesn't have to be something as plain as this. You can do that. This is a bird foot violet. So you could do that with it. You could just get a cluster of fabric and then just put that on. So I have some fabric, some lace, some cheesecloth, and then there's a piece of embroidery. You could do that with it. And if you did this, you could just take these off and put maybe like a blue, or you could do, I would do a light blue maybe. Or even to bring out more red, you could do a red, or yeah, it's red. So the sky's the limit. You can decorate these however you like. It just depends on what you enjoy seeing in your junk journals, but that's how easy this can be. And so I really encourage you, if you're new to collaging, new to junk journaling, and what's great about doing this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a monochromatic look, is because when you're first starting into junk journaling, you know, you could get some encyclopedias or a flower book and maybe a pattern piece, because those are pretty cheap at thrift stores. But once you start getting into different materials, it can get a little bit more expensive. So I encourage you, give this a try. You'll be amazed how well it would look. And to me, this looks really good like this. And then once you sew, once you even put another doily piece on there, it's going to look amazing. And so that is the small project I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed seeing this and I hope you make some on your own. They are a lot of fun, and they will look so good in our books and bring just a junky, yummy goodness to our books. Every time I look at it, I just so enjoy this. So I really hope you enjoy seeing this, guys. I hope that you give it a try. And let's not forget, let's not throw away the junk. Let's journal with it. Bye now.